Welcome to In Crisis, Travel Retail Voices, our podcast series where we speak to travel retail executives around the world to see how they and their businesses are coping with the COVID-19 crisis. And it's my great pleasure to talk to the Group Chief Executive Officer of King Power Group Hong Kong, a figure well known, well respected in our travel retail industry for many years, Mr. Sunil Tuli. And Sunil, I'm talking to you in Singapore. How are you doing and how's your family, first of all?
Well, Martin, good talking to you. Thank you. Family is all well. We're all here in Singapore. My wife, my daughter, my son, my daughter-in-law, and our little grandson, we're all here. We're all together and all in good shape. Thank you very much.
That's good to hear. Sunil, we read the newspapers, we read the Straits Times, which is doing a very good job, and in reporting what is a very good job, I would say, by the Singaporean authorities in first confining and then minimizing this outbreak. It's been much admired by other countries in the world as something of a role model. What's your impression of the situation in Singapore today, and how has it developed in recent weeks, and how is it affecting the day-to-day life of people there?
All right. So first of all, you're absolutely right in saying that Singapore, and if I may add, along with Hong Kong, has been very good at taking preventive measures and containing it to a large extent. If you ask me, I think the safest places to be today are either Singapore or Hong Kong. I managed to leave Hong Kong and come into Singapore before the quarantine curfew was imposed. So I don't have to stay at home. I can actually go out and I can do whatever I want to. However, with the Singapore government now, it was a lot more open a few weeks ago, but now things are getting a little more difficult because there have been a few more cases. You know, we've had 40, 30, 50 cases in the last few days, mostly from people coming in from overseas, mostly from Europe, if I may add. So the government is taking action now by saying that religious gatherings, bars, pubs, basically anything over 10 people is being prohibited. Similar things are happening in Hong Kong as well, by the way. But generally speaking, life is normal. We are going out. We are not socializing as much as we used to in larger gatherings, but we are going out. We are meeting some very few friends at homes. We go out for walks and runs and all that kind of stuff every day. I go to the office every day. We've got a small office in Singapore. I go to the office every day for a few hours, and obviously business is down. As we know, that restrictions and more border controls have been brought in, both into Singapore and Hong Kong. Flights have been reduced drastically. So as a result of that, business at the airports, which is where our main business is, has suffered. And it's not just us, it's for everybody else who's at the airport. So what we're doing is that we are considering reducing number of hours or even closing down some of our shops for a certain period of time. Hong Kong, I think from tomorrow, they're closing for about 2 weeks. And in Singapore, we are planning to close from the 1st of April for about a month. We are not laying off staff, but obviously we're taking other cost-cutting measures like no pay leave or just reducing the number of hours, cutting down on whatever cost we can to get over this period, because business has crashed completely, with Singapore Airlines now announcing a reduction of 96% of their flights. No transit allowed. As Colum said, similar to Dubai, no non-residents allowed into the country. So measures like this are obviously going to affect our business and every other tourism and travel-related business and retail and hospitality and everybody else. So business is suffering like it has never before. We've never seen anything like this before. But we have to hold on to this. We've got to wait for it to go away. We've got to take every precaution to make sure that we can contain this thing. It will go away. All right? It's a matter of time. It's a matter of every person in every country being responsible, and we will get over this.
It's good to hear you say that, Sunil. And like Charles Chen and like Colin McLaughlin, two of your long-time friends in the industry, in fact, and long-time colleagues, you've been through crises, and several of them in the past, including health crises, of course, with SARS, which hit your region so terribly through 2003 in particular. So you've seen it before, whereas I would say many people in the West, certainly at society level, if not business level, have not experienced it. And that's probably been shown in a somewhat blasé attitude by some societies, people within many European societies, and politicians to some degree. And you can see now that there's a great deal more urgency all of a sudden. So what are the lessons from Singapore and from past crises?
The lessons are not from Singapore or past crises, Martin. I think the lessons are from the current crisis. There have been some lessons from the past, but I've got two things to say. One is that it is something that affects everybody, all right? So for some people to think that it's all right for them not to do what is being recommended, basically social distancing, is being irresponsible, all right? You don't know you've got it, and you don't know that you can pass it to somebody else till it's too late. So people have to be responsible.
Yes.
That's the first thing. And the second thing, which I'm sure you are, as many other people as I am, are irritated about the fact that people are being profiled. All right, so I've heard stories about Chinese people being pointed at and saying that you guys have brought this disease into the world. Friends of mine have told me it's happened in the UK. Friends of mine have told me it's happened in France. I was witness to it personally myself. I will not repeat the story, but I was witness to it personally with somebody from my company in Europe. And there have been cases like this all over the world, all right? We have to be very careful. The economic impact of this disease is going to last longer than the disease itself. And if we are not careful, we've been talking about Chinese visitors to every part of the world being the most important customers, not only for duty-free, but for hospitality, for retail, for leisure, for everything for the last so many years. And today, if you start discriminating against them, when the time is right, when they start traveling again, they will not go to countries that they're not welcome in.
Absolutely. A really critical point, Sunil, and well made, because there has been a great deal of xenophobia in much of the press and, of course, in some political statements. And that, unfortunately, is bringing itself out in society. Let's just talk, if I may, about another country you're closely connected with, Sunil, by definition, your birthplace, India. Similar number of total confirmed cases as in Singapore, just over 500 at last count, but quite a worrying situation in India relative to Singapore, just in terms of medical facilities and, of course, sheer scale of population. What's your read, Sunil, on the situation in India? You've got many friends and family back there.
All right, so Delhi has declared a lockdown. I think other places will also do the same, which is a good thing because, like you said, the sheer scale, hygiene levels are not very great, medical facilities are not sufficient, and sheer scale in terms of population density is huge. If it spreads in the slums, in the villages, etc., it's going to be like a wildfire. Right, so I don't know what the solution is or how long it will take and how they're going to contain it, but it is a very worrying situation.
Many of your friends and colleagues all around the world listening into these podcasts, it's good to hear industry leaders talk, especially seasoned ones such as yourself and Charles and Colin.
Thank you.
Any message to the industry?
That's a difficult one. I mean, listen, it's a difficult time for everybody. Business is going to suffer. Unfortunately, some businesses will not last. People will lose their jobs. Money will be lost. Markets are going crazy. Nobody knows what the future is or how long this thing is going to last. But we have to be positive. Like everything, it will go away. This thing is not going to hang over our heads for the rest of our lives. People are saying it's going to be 2 to 3 months before things start getting back to normal. Let's hope it's that and not longer than that. But let's stay focused. Let's make sure that we're trying to prevent it and contain it as much as possible. Try and run our businesses to whatever extent we can. And in this time when everything is a bit down, let's prepare to run our businesses better when everything is back to normal, because it will come back to normal in a very big way.
Very well said, Sunil. Look, on behalf of everybody who will listen and myself, knowing you for
Thank
many
you,
years, I'm very happy to hear that you and your family are hunkered down and well. You stay safe, Sunil Tuli, and look after your family and your colleagues, and we'll see you
And
soon
you too,
enough,
Martin.
I hope.
Absolutely. And you take care of your family and be safe and stay healthy. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Sunil Tuli. I'm Martin Moodie for In Crisis, Travel Retail Voices.